Anyways. Oh, I want to say hi to Jennifer here. I want to say hi to Jessica, Natasha, oh, Senhor Cabeças, Luiz Helena, Chico Coelho tá aqui, Danilo Matos, Pedro Robin, Hugo. Thanks, guys. I love you. It's so fun to be here tonight. Angelica, do you have a sponsor in your show?
Oh, I think there's some sponsor, but I forgot the name.
Brazil Best Magazine. Brazil Best Magazine is the sponsor, and BrazilBest.com is the channel for more information in the Brazilian community in the Bay Area. Done. Please
Perfect.
continue.
So I heard that there was also some metal in your past, metal music.
Metal. Yes,
Metal, yes.
I love metal, and I think, as I mentioned, when music first started hitting me, the first thing that I remember loving was a song from Creedence and Clearwater Revival. And my dad had this vinyl, and I remember looking at that picture, and it was the picture of the two dudes, like one looking at each other, and they all had this long beards and hair. Uh, and there was a song that was just electric. I could even try to find it here, but I will not have it. But that song changed my life somehow. I wanted to play that song again and again and again and again and again. And it was like a dude screaming, "Seven ton time I'm coming out of the sky. You want me taking down a Memphis on a midnight ride. I want to move." It was incredible. And I had no idea what those words meant at all. Like, what's
Uh-huh.
going on here? And, but I loved it, and I started listening to that a lot. And then I found a cassette tape of Pink Floyd that my dad had. My dad never really showed me, so here is this music, which I feel like now I do a service to my daughter. Like, oh hey, here's Bob Marley.
Uh-huh.
But at the time, I would just like find things. Oh, here's this tape. All right, how do I listen to a tape? Okay, I put it in this thing and I press this button. And so I started listening to that. When I was in like middle school, somehow MTV arrived in Brazil. It was like 1990, and I was on sixth grade. uh, and everyone in my class was listening to this one MTV video that was the thing back then. It was Sepultura Arise. And because Sepultura is this Brazilian metal band that gained recognition internationally, and was bringing some sort of like pride to be Brazilian and pride to be a rocker, like pride to be a Brazilian freaking metal rocker. And that's what all the kids in sixth grade were, like we started listening to Iron Maiden and Stradivarius, Metallica, and like Dio, Black Sabbath, all the metal shit from back in the like mid '80s to early '90s. That we were all into that. That was my first exposure to, oh shit, there's a world out there. And MTV was bombarding
Mhm.
Sepultura, and the grunge movement started. That was like 92, 93, where
Mhm.
I was a little divided because the grunge movement was starting, and I loved all the freaking bands coming out of Seattle. I loved Pearl Jam
Me
and
Italian.
Soundgarden and Alice in Chains and everyone. Um, and at the same time, I was being recruited to be the promoter for
The dance.
the dance electronic dance
Mhm.
music party. So then I'm like, okay, but the first band I've ever had was a punk rock band. Vis Zero was the name of the band. And it was really punk rock. We didn't know what we were doing, and I was screaming like crazy on the mic, and that was fun. And that was in 1998. Then, when I moved to the States, I was on Craigslist because that's how everything kind of started back then. I started looking on Craigslist in the year 2000, right before I moved here, and then I found a lot of different shit via Craigslist. But in 2005, I found these guys. There were three guys from Marin County. The three of them were completely amazing musicians. They had been working together uh, for a long time, and they were into progressive metal, and they liked the demo I had with my Brazilian punk rock band, and they recruited me to sing for this metal project,
Mhm.
and and that happened in 2006 in San Rafael, and the name of the project is Vile Conundrum, and we got together, rehearsed, built a show, and got immersed in the battle of the bands thing promoted by Emergenza, like this European company that was looking for bands worldwide. We won the thing in San Francisco at the Great American Music Hall in 2006 against God knows
Oh.
how many bands. It was like
Mhm.
the bands had to sell tickets and they played different shows. We played this club on Mission Street called the 12 Galaxies that doesn't even exist anymore. We played the Red Devil Lounge. So there was like this metal scene going on. And so we won that thing, and we actually got sent to Germany to compete in a world final of this Emergenza thing. We went to a festival in Hotterberg, in the Bavaria, and we
Mhm.
played metal, like freaking in a metal festival with like mud everywhere and big dudes wearing black and on chains, and it was out of this world. Um, Anyways, and then we came back from there. We didn't win, and a lot of feelings came up amongst the members of the bands, and we had a fallout. I wasn't expressing myself really well in English at that time, and I
Mhm.
felt like I used wrong words as I was trying to process feelings, and I guess
Yeah. So
at
don't you,
some
it's hard to translate the intensity of a feeling when it's not your mother tongue. You want to say something and maybe you use the word that is very extreme and hurtful because you don't know how to change that intensity in the new
I
song.
didn't
Yeah.
know. Yeah, and you're so true. It's so true what you just said. The intensity of the words don't necessarily. You don't know what the meaning
Mm.
of certain
Yeah.
words are at the time. And I remember telling the guys that I I really wanted to take a break from the band, but I used the word quit.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And yes, and when I said I want to quit the band, and I didn't really mean that, the guys took it to the heart, and
Mm.
it was really hurtful, and and things started just like being completely out of my control. uh Anyways, that's that's the story of Vile Conundrum to you.
Yeah, and how is the transition? Because Poho is traditional music. It's how is the transition from dance and music and metal music to Poho? to play forró, to
So
be with a forró band?
forró in my life has been such an amazing gift because I've always known of the existence of forró since we're little kids.
Mm-hmm.
Because for Luis Gonzaga was the very first Brazilian pop star that was able to tour. He had this impact, but that was in the 1940s. So when I was growing up in the 80s,
Mm-hmm.
forró was out of the question. Forró was old and was not cool anymore, and it was like phony. You know, people would not do forró outside of the Northeast because in São Paulo or in Rio, forró was considered passé. It was considered like, nah, it's for old people.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's
forró
not
was,
cool.
yeah, not cool anymore. But in the 90s, there was a band that made forró cool again. And that was Fala Mansa. And coincidentally, because life is just this amazing flower that keeps on giving us opportunities, Tato, the singer for Fala Mansa, is my
Salamanca.
it's my childhood friend.
Mm.
We went to middle school together. So we were in elementary school even. We were like 9 years old. We played soccer together. The, the cool birthday parties were at his condo because his brother had this cassette tape thing, and he was doing mixtapes, and we were into Depeche Mode and Erasure
Mm-hmm.
and all those like dance and pop things from the mid 80s, late 80s. I was listening to like a Pet Shop Boys and all those things. And we had no idea what Brazilian music really was.
Mm-hmm.
Because in my household, my dad never listened to any of the Brazilian, big guys or Tropicalia or none of that. In my household, the only Brazilian stuff that would enter was sertanejo because my dad was into the sertanejo thing. But sertanejo back in the 80s was very roots music. So I rediscovered all the catalog for Brazilian music when I went to college because again my roommate was into all kinds of music and he said, dude, you gotta listen to this Tropicalia shit for real. If you want to be
Mm-hmm.
somebody in life, you need to
Mm-hmm.
find out what's going on in Brazil. So I listened to the Tropicalia, I listened to Gil Caetano and Tom Zé, and then I listened to all the Brazilian rock from the 80s and 90s. Then I found out about Luis Gonzaga because Fala Mansa brought all the forró back to the college kids. It was the name of the
Mm-hmm.
genre was forró universitário because
Oh, yeah.
in the 90s the college kids were starting to get into forró, and then you're messing with a lot of hormones there. It doesn't matter if you're a metalhead, if you're into classical music, if you're in college in Brazil in 1996, you were dancing forró, and that's it. Because everybody was dancing forró, was the only way to get to the right girls. And then we're like, okay, so let's that.
But I think a similar movement was going through South America because I'm from Colombia, and in Colombia we have the same with some traditional music called vallenato that was forgotten, and then around the 90s there were some cool guys bringing it back to young people, and we realized, oh, our own music, our roots music are beautiful and they are very successful. So I think both countries were going through a similar growing process.
Yeah, so that's for how forró entered my life once. So that's one gift, just because it was there. Then the second
Yeah.
gift, I was in San Francisco already, doing the freelance thing, playing with other bands, and I met Chris Thomas because Chris Thomas was the drummer for a funk band called Brazuca Brown. And Chris was doing Tuesday nights at the Elbow Room back in 2006 and 7. And he needed a door guy. He needed someone that spoke Portuguese and English and could be the door person and collect money and do that thing. So he hired me to be there, sit and collect money and talk to people. Amazing.
Mhm.
At the Elbow Room, I love it. Take me there. So I went. And I'm there. I sat, I had my little table. All of a sudden, I see an old man coming up the stairs of the Elbow Room carrying an accordion. And I'm like, who? This guy looks very familiar to me. And he kept on walking up. He walked all the way right up to me. He looked at my face. I'm like, I know you. You are Seu Francelino from the band Forrofiando from Piracicaba. And he
In
looked
your
at me
town.
and like, how do you know? Francelino is an accordion player from Paraíba that moved to Piracicaba in the 80s. And in the 90s, when the forró thing exploded, he had a forró band in Piracicaba when I was 16, 17 years old. So I was going
Wow.
to this theater called Teatro São José, and I would go dance forró, and I would watch Francelino playing up there with his son and another triangle player.
And now
So
he's in the elbow room.
yes, so when I saw him at the Elbow Room, I'm like, okay, is this real? And it was him, and he told me, oh, so yeah, good thing you know us from Piracicaba. Such a coincidence, so amazing. Why don't you come and play triangle with us? And I had never played the freaking triangle in my life ever.
It's hard to play the triangle.
Well, I'm
It
not.
is.
I'm not gonna say it's hard, but depending on the style, it's demanding.
Yeah, you need to have rhythm to be able to do it. Not
You need to.
everyone can play. Not everyone can do it.
Oh, thank you for you know making me feel like a musician. I love it. I really love it. Thank you. So I started playing triangle. I was covering for Carlinhos. Carlinhos, he still lives here from Bahia. He used to play with Francelino, but Carlinhos was so into the ladies that he would stop playing the triangle on stage to go down to ask some lady to dance. And then and then Chris Thomas and Francelino started getting really mad because they're like, you can't leave the stage to
Uh,
go hit on the girls. You have to focus and be here, be the triangle player for God's sake. And if you're not going to be the triangle player, so then let
go
Paulo
dance.
play the triangle. Go dance. Yeah, and then that's how I started. I started playing the triangle, yeah, because dude wanted to dance. So that's my story with forró.
But you are more known for Doña Francisca. When was Doña Francisca born? It was
So
right after.
yes, that was it. That was my second gift with forró. Francelino just dropping out of the paradise right in front of me at the Elbow Room in 2006. And then the third gift was also given by Francelino because we started working together, me, Francelino, and Chris, and Carlinhos Oliveira, and we started doing more parties. So forró started to become a thing. We had a monthly night at the Elbow Room. Francelino was playing birthday parties. He was doing workshops. He was teaching people. We started the dance class thing back at Zambaleta, which was the place that we met Diana Strong, our accordion player, because Diana
Mhm.
came to Zambaleta to know more about forró. Zambaleta was the music school, like an alternative music school. And then we met her there. Francelino decided to go back to Brazil because he has family and everything. And here comes my third gift. He he talks to me. He sits me down. Say, hey, so listen, I'm going home, and I will not let you guys allow forró to die in San Francisco. So
Yeah.
you're gonna do something to keep forró alive. I don't care what you do. You and Chris, you guys get organized, put your butt to work, and go do a forró thing to keep it alive. Because I came all the way here to build this thing, and I'm not gonna go back home and just see it melt. So you guys will have to do something. I went
And
back to Brazil with Francelino because he was insecure about the load that he was taking, and I went with him. He had that conversation with me. I came back, I talked to Chris, and I said, Chris, it's our baby now, man. Francelino told us we have to do something. Let's do something. So we kept the party at the Elbow Room, and we decided to call Porreta. Ah, got my Porreta
Porreta.
shirt. Yeah, Porreta Forró Nights. It's the shirt I have here from the party that we used to host at the Elbow Room every month. I think it was the third Tuesday or something like that. And so when that happened, uh, we needed a band. So we needed to figure something out. We already had the pieces of Forró Brazuca, which was me, Chris, and Carlinhos Oliveira. Well, Carlinhos Oliveira was actually leaving too. So it was me and Chris on one side with Forró Brazuca. And then Carlinhos Oliveira, which was our bass player, also played with Catavento, the band with Rebecca Kleiman, Sonia Calvet, and Chloe Scott on the flutes. So we got both of these projects, Catavento and Forró Brazuca, and we put together something that we called the Porreta House Band. We started doing, I was playing the guitar, and Rebecca and the girls doing the flutes and zabumba, but we were just missing the accordion. Like, oh my God, this is not gonna do it. We need an accordion. We need an accordion. And Rebecca then brought the name of Diana. She said, well, I know an accordion player, and she's actually interested in forró music. So you guys might hit off. Let's make this happen. So I made the contact with Diana Strong, and we started Dona Francisca. So Dona Francisca was the band created from all these pieces of,
legacy. Yeah.
and I have a video
Oh,
of Dona Francisca. Can I
oh, we
show
would
it?
love to see. Yes.
I oh, sorry, I have to drink some kombucha again. So I want to show this video, which came right before the confinement. We shot it in a small shed here in the sunset. Uh, let's see it. Very cute, very cute.
Take some time in the shed. 2, 3, 4.
Oh, that was beautiful. I'm sure the Poho lovers were dancing in their homes and wishing that the Poho parties come back soon.
Thank you. I just read the comments here. Gisela Gadelha is telling us that she can't wait for us to be live again. Muito obrigado. Thank you. I see Natasha here also dancing on the chair. Even my brother is here, man. My brother Rodrigo is here. Hey, moleque.
Hi,
Hey.
Rodrigo. Yeah,
So
so
what else?
the time has flight. Maybe that's very short. So you got the Poho or Doña Francisca babysit the legacy, and now I've been following you for 5 years. I've seen how the community has been growing. How do you see yourself in the future? Well, it's like a hard question nowadays, but there's been
Yeah, it is a hard question
visionary.
nowadays.
Yeah.
I it's so hard to say anything right now that would not change in the near future.
Mhm.
I can share my hopes, and that's I will work on having more visions with those hopes, so I will just see the fruits of it as time goes by. But I feel like in some way, again, on the God writes straight
Mhm.
in bent lines. Uh,
Mhm.
Forró fell on our laps as culture from our country that we learned, that we lived through, that we were able to share, and that people appreciate. So when you carry something that's yours because it's yours, it's your art form, it's your country, it's your culture, either like being your language or the cuisine, whatever you do that you learned from your parents, that they learned from their parents, and so on and so on. In a way, we have this obligation to honor and to keep growing and sharing. And as we share more of that culture, we perceive that people just feed off of it. That the
Mhm.
energy is so beautiful, and we carry such blessing that we just want to see it go and be contagious in a healthy way. Uh, so what I see happening now is that the responsibility that Francelino deposited in me, in Chris, in Rebecca, Diana, and everyone that got exposed to Forró music in the Bay is that we continue sharing this beautiful thing that was once shared with us. So I feel like when Forró for All California became a strong group of folks that share the same passion and understand the nonverbal communication of dance and the exchange that we promote just by dancing together, just by
Mhm.
holding each other's hands and looking each other in the eyes and being able to share that, that is amazing in itself. And the fact that
And I also feel that dance community, it's a place where everyone is the same. It doesn't matter if you are rich or not, or just that you love dancing, and that brought us together.
on the dance floor, there's no, you know,
The
there's no
hierarchy,
you
yes,
know
the classes.
stratification of social
Mm-hmm.
classes on the dance floor.
Yeah.
The dance floor is one of the most democratic floors you can have. And even on the dance floor, sometimes you will feel tension because you start having even you see in ballroom dance, you see in forró, you see in salsa, like the good dancers and the not so good dancers. There's also a little bit of that. But what I've seen happening is that the group is strong and extrapolated the myself or anyone's self, and it became a collective. It became something that will live forever. So I see Fahal growing everywhere in the world because people are doing that, and Fahal will stay and outlive all of us. We're just gonna share, we're gonna dance, we're gonna pass it on, teach, and learn and exchange, and then every person that Forró is able to reach, that person will pass it, and it's gonna be like almost an antidote to our social isolation, because and that's another reason why I everything I'm saying, it's hopes. I can only hope that we're able, after all this goes away, to reconnect and to keep prioritizing the priorities, because we learned that we can live with less.
Mm-hmm.
We learned that we don't need that much stuff anyways. We're learning to live a bit more simple and to consume a little less and to use our time a little better. So I feel like Forró could be a great instrument of transitioning, and dance, and not only Forró, but dance in general, can
Mm-hmm.
be a very powerful instrument, not only for your own therapy at home, because when you're home and you're able to dance, you're able to move your body, you're able to let go of a lot of the stress that keeps building, but we can use that instrument to touch each other's hands again and not feel scared. So I just see that the human touch will now become such taboo in a way. We're all wearing masks. We're all wearing gloves. We're all staying 6 feet apart from each other.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have to learn again, what does it mean to touch somebody's hand? What does it mean that your chest is close to mine and we're about to
Mm-hmm.
dance together? This is a one and only opportunity to be here now and do this with a partner right in front of you. So I just hope that we can do that again and more often.
Yeah, I think it's gonna come the time and we're gonna go slowly and progressively progressively getting to touch again. But I think humans we cannot live without those. I think we're gonna get to the end. Unfortunately, we're gonna have so many more questions and things to
No,
discuss.
no. Ask the questions. We can be here. We can be here for a little longer.
We
It's
can
on.
go. Is
Yeah.
we
Let's
can go
go.
longer?
Let's go longer for a little bit. Let's do it. You. What's the next question? Shoot. Let's do this.
Okay, let me think. Well, how did you came up with the idea of this program, the Estamos Juntos, San
Tamo
Francisco?
junto.
Estamos
So
Juntos.
tamo junto is actually a product of the quarantine. I so I work with production, so we do events, and we like I try to have my own little setup when I go do DJ gigs, or I do some photography work. We do camera work, and for the band we have a small mixing board, production material. When the quarantine hit, I found myself at home with all this gear because that's what I use for work. And I thought, well, what what can I do here in my place that I can, share with people and have a little fun myself, because I am a hyperactive human being, as and I would probably, if I was a kid these days, they would put me on those ADD medications.
Mhm.
I'm sure they would. But with all this gear here, I'm like, okay, what can I do? And I started setting up the DJ thing. That's how it started. Like, I wanted to share some DJ thing, and we started doing like DJ, like live sets of forró music on the Forró for All California group. And I had the idea for the first interview because I wanted to talk to my friends. I Loneliness, it's something a little scary to me. I'm using this quarantine to work on that too. Even though I'm here with my lady, she's amazing. I love her to death, and she's having our baby. So that's more love. So we're like, we're loving this life, and we saw ourselves in the situation where the love is not questioned at all, but the the fact that we can't hang out with our friends, that we can't just be having this
Mhm.
conversation, that we can't go dancing. So how can I connect with people on the same kind of level? At least 1 hour per day, I'm here talking to someone and telling some stories of our lives. So it's a gift. So I thought, well, who can I interview that would be
Mhm.
fun? So I called Celso Brás. Celso Brás, if you don't know Celso Brás, you should. Brazil Best Magazine is a product brainchild of Celso Brás. Celso runs this media channel for the Brazilian community in the Bay Area. And because press was such an important issue in this pandemic because of the fake news and the
Mhm.
sources and all that, so I thought, okay, I'm going to try to interview somebody from the press so we can start talking about how to get right information about what's going on. So I talked to Celso Brás, and we did it over the phone first. And when we did it over the phone, it was so fun. We had such a good time, just bouncing off each other's ideas and having a good time. The very next day, Celso called me and told me, "Man, this idea of yours can become something. We we can do something out of that. Wouldn't it be fun if we can do video? Wouldn't it be fun if we can play music? Would it be fun if we can create a channel that keeps giving exposure to the Brazilian music and the musicians from the Bay?" So, tamo junto. Uh,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
tonight,
Paulo Presotto.
Angelica Vargas is interviewing me. Angelica, muchas gracias.
Oh, gracias a ti.
Tiene
Yeah, and
más preguntas?
no, I just need to comment that I really love your notebook. With these modern communications tools that we have, and you have your notebook with the names. I think it's precious, and you need to keep it some memory of these times. Estamos juntos en cuarentena.
We're keeping this very analogically going as much as we can. Uh, well, thank you. Let me, if to everyone out there, let me first of all talk about how I met Angelica here. Angelica and her husband come to almost 100% of the Forró events, uh, have brought your kids to
Yes.
experience, uh, have shared with many friends. Uh, you're an amazing supporter that any band would love to have
Oh,
because
thank
you
you.
buy the records, you're present at the shows, you help promote, you bring people by their hands, you come and talk to us and give constructive feedback every show. You come out and you make a point of telling me personally, looking in my eyes, hey, I felt like the song number 3 tonight was really great. I felt like you could play more of that, and I feel like, and that's amazing. That's amazing because for if you're on the bandstand, that kind of discussion only happens with your bandmates, over at rehearsal, and it's hard to have those dialogues, and I really encourage everyone to do the same. It's just great, and I would like to thank you so much for being
Oh,
that fan,
oh,
being that friend and supporter. Really appreciate, and I loved
thank
your
you.
message, and it's a pleasure to be here with you.
Yeah, no, just need to add, I'm really thankful that I stumbled upon you guys because I've been trying to convince my husband to dance for many, many years and he didn't want it. But then when we saw you guys for the first time for hockey, he really fell in love like me and we were motivated to start dancing together and learn how to dance. And it's also the music and the community that you have built around your band and the other bands that are in the area, the Shadow
Yeah,
Mission
Shashado
and all
Mission.
the
Let's
Hoho
big
of
shout out to
California.
Shashado Mission.
Yes,
Well, before we go, let's ask if anyone online has questions.
for
Oh,
you.
guys, Jennifer, I want to send big kisses to Rodrigo, meu irmão, to Jennifer, to Gisela, Lilian Puga, a Gabi, Gabizão, e aí, beleza? Nosso amigo Di Samuel, aqui o Thomas is with us right now, Eurilene from France, let's see who else is watching now. Celcinho is still with us. Joyce Glasgow from Seattle is here with us. I have again one more gift and such a blessing to be able to share what we are with other people as we get to know ourselves. Uh, and that's it.
Yeah, I think that's it for tonight.
Okay.
So thank you so much for sharing your background.
Thank you.
Uh,
And now I would like you to pick one song from the songs that you know from Dona Francisca. What is your favorite?
I love when you guys play Taxi Lunar, but I
Oh,
don't
I will
think I
not
have a
have that recorded.
recording.
I will have just the Forró by the Bay recordings. You remember those?
Yeah, yes, but I don't remember what songs are there. Tell me the names, please.
Which one?
Remind me the
Oh,
titles
there's
because those are the
Olinda, there's Forró by the Bay, and then you go Ovo Mexido and Sereia.
I
Oh,
think
there's
Olinda.
Olinda. All right. Okay, everyone.
Thank you.
Angélica, mucho gusto, muchas gracias por hacer esta entrevista, por enviar la mensaje y todo lo que hace de corazón. Aquí vamos. Ok, un beijo,
Gracias.
besito a todos. Ciao, everybody.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Boa noite.
Boa noite. Obrigado. Tchau, querida. All right, everyone. This was it. This guy right here, it's me. Obrigado, viu? Tchau.
Quanto tempo faz que eu não vejo você sorrir assim? Eu abdiquei da timidez joguei. Porque esse ano e o ano que vem sempre tem carnaval. E eu quero ouvir suas vozes. Outra noite em Olinda. E eu quero ouvir suas vozes. Outra noite em Olinda.
Thank you guys for sharing this time with me. Thanks for listening to my story. It's really important that you share your story as well. In times like this, finding our true self is where it's at. Get to know more of yourself. Go deep. Go to your past. Tell those stories. Call me. Call your friends. Call your family. Share the stories around the fire in your place while they're somewhere else in their place. Do that Zoom call. Do that. Make that phone call. Don't wait too long. Make that phone call. Boa noite. Muito obrigado. All right, we're off the air. Hello, hello. Hey,
Hi.
hey,
Bye.
that
It
was
went
so
well.